Hello, this is Father David. We're here at day 36, the greatest born of women. We're now into the pre-festal period of Nativity. And today we're reading about the one that Christ names as the greatest born of woman, St. John the Baptist, the forerunner, the one who came before Christ and prepared the way for him. This is done in the church. His day, his official feast day, is the day after Theophany, so January 7th. This is something that's done a lot in the church. We have, you have the birth of Mary on September 8th, the Theotokos, and the day after, the major players in that event, Saints Joachim and Anna, her parents, are the ones that are commemorated. Well, it's the same thing here. You have the Theophany, January 6th, and John the Baptist baptizes Christ in the River Jordan. And then the day after that, what you have is St. John himself commemorated. And this is, within his own words, within the scriptures, recorded in the scriptures, this is only fitting, I think. It's, even though he's called the forerunner, the one who came before, for him to come after Christ, for Christ to come first in the church calendar, and we commemorate his baptism, and then later on we say, then after that we talk about St. John. He was like, that's perfect, because his mindset, which we have him explaining in the first chapters of St. John the Evangelist's Gospel. You yourselves bear me witness, he said, that I said I'm not the Christ, but I have been sent before him. He who has the bride is the bridegroom. The friend of the bridegroom, who stands and hears him, rejoices greatly at the bridegroom's voice. Therefore this joy of mine is now full. He must increase, but I must decrease. And, this was the sense that, St. John is an example for all of us in terms of someone who truly embraced this reality that God is so much greater than we are. He is greater and more important than our comfort. He is greater and more important than our expectations. He is greater and more important than our plans for our life. And ultimately, you have this man who went out in the desert, wore a camel skin girdle as his clothing, ate locust and wild honey, sort of a crazy wild man out in the wilderness, out in the desert outskirts of civilization. And you have him coming out and saying to people, repent, turn around, get ready. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. It's here. You can reach out and touch it. Okay. For him, his calling was such an extreme version of asceticism. He's really the proto-monk. We usually say, especially being here at St. Anthony's Parish, St. Anthony the Great was, the father of monasticism. I really kind of look at, St. John the Forerunner as, he was not only paving the way for Christ, but for monasticism, for a total lifelong 24/7 embracing of this, decreasing. For St. John, the message pointing to Christ was everything. And he understood his calling in life was to get out of the way. There was something I saw the other day from something online called the Orthodox Church Fathers, every day they put, it's kind of the same thing, a little medallion, icon of a saint who has a saying, and then they put the saint under it. And it said, for Christ to appear, the priest has to disappear. And that, hit me, reminded me of something that one of my mentors in seminary said, that much of priestly ministry is just learning to get out of the way. Learning to get out of the way so that when you walk into that hospital room, it's Christ and not you. When you sit down with somebody to talk with them or to listen to their problems, when you meet with someone in confession, that you always have to, as the priest, say a prayer beforehand. And oftentimes my prayer will take the form of this saying, may you increase, O Lord, and may I decrease. That I get out of the way. And that God, who has no need to use me, would show up, and that I would not get in his way, and that he would be able to minister to the person that's there. St. John used to be, so I've heard by many old timers in the church, a much more often seen figure in terms of churches being named after him. This was something that, you would see churches, you'd see monasteries, you would see, children named after him so much more often. He says, you don't see that now. A couple of them have told me, it's like, you don't see that now. And it could be, perhaps, but we've lost. That's a little too apocalyptic. We're always tempted to lose or to forget, but we always have the chance to recover a sense of healthy asceticism. Not a hatred of our bodies, not some kind of thing that God, wants to punish us, but a sense that, one of the ways that we decrease, literally just set the stage for Christ to increase, as he will. However he shows up, that's how he shows up. But one of the ways that we do this is by consciously limiting our food intake, our choice of entertainment, the way we use our money. Matushka and I were just talking about how, during Nativity, one of the practices we heard of and we adopted a good long while ago was, in addition to a portion of our income, we tithe to the parish we serve. It's kind of the joke is that, hey, you get a 10% discount on your priest, because 10% of the money that we receive as, the salary for the income for serving the church full time, 10% of it goes right back. So you get a discount. But in addition to that, we set aside a portion of our monthly income as almsgiving. And there are certain organizations that we are very comfortable giving to: IOCC, International Orthodox Christian Charities; OCPM, Orthodox Christian Prison Ministries. We give to that. We have there's a full-time missionary in Guatemala that is a friend of mine that we have supported in the past in that effort. But one of the things that we do is during Nativity season, we try to increase our giving and have an extra portion during fasting periods to free up our giving to hopefully, in a way that isn't just automatic or, unthinking, to open our hand a little bit more and to say, we could always do something with that money, sure. But how can we get along without it and give it to somebody who needs it more? That's also a part of decreasing so that Christ somehow may increase in our lives. We don't know what that's going to look like. Certainly, St. John didn't know what that was going to look like. For him, what that looked like was actually speaking the truth to Herod, ticked Herod off because he told Herod, look, what you did, this woman, your brother's wife is, you can't be sleeping with her. Well, you don't say that to Herod and not, get negative consequences. Threw him in prison. And eventually, we know the story. Herodias's daughter dances and says, through her mother's input, I want the head of John the Baptist on a platter. And, he's beheaded. But even prior to that, he's languishing in prison. And, he sends some of his disciples who came to visit him and said, go ask Jesus, my kinsman, are you really the one that we're waiting for? Or should we wait for another one? It's a really telling moment. Because here is the greatest born of women. Christ says, of all those born of women, none is greater than John the Baptist. He is the greatest in the old covenant. And he's in a prison unjustly. God didn't save him. God didn't somehow preserve him. God did not vindicate him in this life. Ultimately, he's going to get killed unjustly. And he has this moment where he goes, look, if you ain't him, I don't want to be going through all of this if you're not actually the one we're waiting for. Am I wrong? And Christ doesn't give him a yay or nay answer. He says, the blind see, the deaf hear, the lame walk. Blessed is he who is not scandalized because of me. It's not an answer. He doesn't even get a straight answer. It's like Job. He goes through all of that. And then when he finally sees God face to face, the answer God gives is basically, I'm God. Here I am. That's got to be enough. So for Christians, part of our calling is to learn and to struggle to regularly encounter God in prayers, in almsgiving, in our own hearts, so that he is enough. Because it cannot be anything else. Not any other reason for following Christ other than Christ himself. So the church commemorates this great ascetic who learned to deny himself, but did so solely out of love for God and an unhypocritical zeal for the truth. It's very important. He was in harmony with his own teaching. He practiced what he preached. There was no hypocrisy about him. And he did so out of love for people, to get them to prepare themselves for Christ and to clear the way within their own hearts for his arrival. So may we do the same in these final days of the Nativity fast as we prepare for Christmas and Theophany. God bless you, and Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow.